What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back the day after a win. We won. Tudor's first game is a win against Genoa. Not the prettiest of wins, but you couldn't expect really anything with, I don't know, a handful, not even a handful of prep. With international break, so on. So it was just the same players, kind of the same mindset, with some changes here and there in the way we want to play, and just get the result. And we got the result. And we got that result because of Yildiz. And that is the topic of today. So before we get into it, just smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification as well. But Yildiz is the big topic because there are some reports out there. There are people talking about Yildiz in the media the last couple of weeks, and they're talking again today. And they're building some sort of narrative which I don't like. I don't like what is happening with him, because I know what the club is trying to do in this case. However, we won that game yesterday, let's be completely honest, because of Yildiz. Because he was consistent throughout the entire 90 minutes he played, He was consistent. The goal was good, but just a player he was on it, really on it, was him, And I don't even want to make it about, oh, it wasn't good with Motta, it was bad, it was because of Motta, because he was on international break, he came back, he saw Tudor, I don't know, 2-3 days. You don't have a big swing in that regard. So that cannot be the case. What is the case is that the reports are out there that it's like he can be sold. He's worth 80 million, he's worth 100 million. If you don't get Champions League, even with Champions League, we need the money, this, and that, But if you need to keep one player, and you can name another player you want to keep, but in general, to make it clear to the entire kind of world, whatever, or just the fans, that we actually are serious to try and build something new, consistent, winning, whatever, that's a player you can absolutely not lose. No chance whatsoever. Besides the fact that he absolutely loves to play for the club, even though it's modern football and that can change in a minute. We know how it goes, so that's why I don't get attached to players. However, he's one of those players who actually likes the beer, despite the issues we have, despite the troubles we have, despite the talent he has, despite probably the offers has, from other clubs, maybe clubs in a better position than us, probably as well. And he still wants the beer. He still cares, like one of those players who actually cares when he's out there. You cannot make the statement towards the fans saying, well, we're going to sell him, because that's not going to go down well one bit. It's impossible that fans will eat that up. It's impossible. What I don't like is that the narrative is out there, oh, he wasn't playing much with Motta. He played top 5 minutes. He played over 2,000 minutes. He was playing a shitload of games with Motta. And I agree, in certain games I was like, you cannot bench him here and there, but he was playing a lot of games, So that cannot be a narrative among the fans, because that will be used then in being sold. That's what I'm trying to say. What I also do not like is the media just coming out there and saying what he did yesterday is normal. Yeah, for him, like his standards and the ability he has, it should be normal. However, he's still 19. This is a full first season. We changed an entire squad, and we know how the season is going. So it isn't really normal. When I see people talking about Lamine Yamal, that's an outliner. That's a player who is on an insanely different level. Those are players that not come about every single year, let alone every single 5 years. What Lamine Yamal is doing is his own thing, and it's insane. There's no need to compare that with Yildiz, because yes, they're not on the same level. However, the level Yildiz can reach is that important. But as a club, you cannot do this. You cannot, as a club, be like, we're selling him, or it's the coach, and the players keep getting away with it. Because if that's the case, we will be in this 65 to 72 points range every single year, while the title winning quota is 86, 87. At one point, the club needs to take stock of the situation. You can talk about the coach, and that's fine. A coach is obviously very important. But what about the players? Players need to be held accountable, because they got away with it with Motta right now. They got what they wanted. They wanted Motta out, so on. If they're not performing right now, are you going to get Tudor out or get the next one out? When is it Oh, what about the players? It's the second coach or the third coach, whatever. That needs to be a club thing. But a player like Yildiz, you cannot sell. Fans will not love that. Fans will not eat that up. Fans will not run with that. It's impossible that fans will look at that situation and be like, yeah, you can sell Yildiz, and we will accept that, because fans will not accept that. Despite the struggles financially of the club or whatsoever, whatever you want to call it, fans will not accept you selling Yildiz, especially when players have a clear attachment to the club. When players want to be here, when players want to play for this club, when players actually care about the club, in some way of capacity, and pair that with the fact that a player actually has the talent to do that, to play for this club, because players can want to play for the club. A lot of players want to play for the club, but at the end of the day, you also need to have the ability and the talent, the mindset to do that. I think Yildiz ticks off all those boxes. To then say, you know what, we're gonna sell him, is just insanity. It's insanity, especially if you watch yesterday's game. You cannot go out there and convince the fan base that selling him is a fantastic idea. It's a horrible idea. It's actually a horrible idea, because if he wasn't there yesterday, or a player with his ability and the way he wanted to play that game yesterday, not just, oh, he's a talent, just the idea of, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make the difference, you do not win that game tomorrow. You're going to need to have those games. Now, it's not enough to win those type of games every single week in that manner. I agree with that. However, you need those players to elevate yourself as a club, to attract other players, to help a coach, to help a team. Because like Tudor said post-game, he said the talent he has is something kind of rare. It's unique. Like, it's not something you come about every single day. Like, if you move that out, what then? Like, what are you going to do? You're going to replace him with a player who's half as talented. And that's not okay. At Juve, you expect a certain level. We're not at that level. We're far off that level. We all know that. We all acknowledge that for years right now. But you need to get back to that level. You cannot just now say, we sell him and we will replace him with any other player. That's just crazy work. That's just crazy work. Like, you can absolutely not do that. That's impossible. So that being said, what Tudor said post game was also important. He said, emotions of winning a game, like the players were, it felt like like a huge burden fell off their shoulders. It felt like the pressure was kind of off, despite, not really much has changed because Tudor came in. But he said emotions are all cool and well. However, at the end of the day, it's the win that matters. It's the only thing that matters, especially for us right now. But moving forward, it's not about the wins, because yeah, it's about the wins, obviously, but it's also how are you going to get those wins, because it needs to be consistent. There needs to be a consistent way in terms of us getting those wins. Otherwise, we're going absolutely nowhere. And you cannot go nowhere. You cannot go anywhere if you start selling players like Cambiasso and Yildiz and so on, and replace them with maybe okay players, but not of that level. Then you're just gonna go backwards. You will create absolutely no consistency. You will create nothing winning over a long period of time. That is the thing, Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about the entire Yildiz situation, because it's clearly not coming from him. I don't think he wants to leave. It's clearly being pushed by the media / the club, leaks here and there. So let me know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow. Ciao.